Welcome to this brief introduction to Meteor. This should be a quick screencast discussing what is Meteor and some of the principles behind Meteor. So, what is Meteor? It's a development platform that includes libraries and packages and tools that help you develop web applications much easier. So first off, one of the first tools that it provides is a command line tool. So if we go to the command line and type Meteor, that's the tool. They refer to it as ISO build. I don't know why they call it that, but at help, we can see that there are a lot of commands you can run with this one tool. So you can run a local Meteor application and develop it. You can debug it. You can create a new project, which gives you the base framework that allows you to quickly build an application. You can update the project's dependencies, so there's a lot of packages you can include that provide functionality. We'll talk about those briefly. You can add and remove, you can publish, you can publish for different devices, so you can actually make a Meteor application that runs on your iPhone or an Android, and you can actually install them on those devices, or you can use HTTP. So it's a very powerful tool for building web applications. Switch back to that. So on the server side, it's both server and client. They use Node.js and fibers and futures, which allow Node.js to be more synchronous than asynchronous. Node.js is very asynchronous, so they added the packages, fibers and futures, that allow you to consider your Meteor app as being a synchronous thing. So when a client makes a request, it gets it back immediately, and all that is hidden behind the scenes from you through these Node.js and fibers. And then it uses Connect, which is another JavaScript package for generating the HTTP and understanding the HTTP process. It has a MongoDB backend, so we can have persistence, and the MongoDB actually, as we'll talk about later, it's on both sides, the client and the server. So, but we're using MongoDB because it stores documents, which is very natural for the communication and storing of JSON objects. It uses live query, which is a way of making the MongoDB a reactive database. So when changes are made in the database, live query makes them visible to all the clients that are connected to this application. So that's where we have this reactive concept where changes are immediately responded all throughout the system. So everybody gets to see the updates. And the communications layer, they have a distributed data protocol, which is a standard protocol that allows for all these messages of changes in the system to get distributed around through all the clients and the server. And they also have an extended JSON, which the original JSON did not allow for serializing certain kind of objects like dates and other complicated objects. So they extended JSON a little bit so that we can actually serialize dates. It is fully JSON compliant, and it can send information across the wire to the clients or the server. So that is the communication. So it's a distributed communication sending extended JSON objects around. On the browser, they have jQuery and underscore on the browser, so you can use jQuery and underscore to write the your client-side stuff. You have Tracker, which makes the client-side reactive, so it's tracking changes from the server and updating the client HTML and JavaScript. Spacebars is a reactive handlebars, which is a JavaScript templating, a template language that understands, so you can create templates and insert them, which will insert HTML into your web pages. Spacebars is a reactive version of handlebars. So you build templates that get generated and they're reactive, so when the data changes underneath, your HTML gets re-rendered automatically for free. Magic. Blaze connects spacebars and trackers together to keep everything manageable. Mini Mongo, so on the client side, we have a mini Mongo database that is reflective of the Mongo database on the server side. So when we do an insert into the client, it's transmitted to the server, and any updates from the server are transmitted to the client. So we have local storage on the client side that is synchronized with the server. And then we also have a session object that allows us to store individual data on the browser side, session information like your ID or username or something like that, that is, again, does not end up on the server because it's a local session object and is not shared with the server. So that allows you to do all these wonderful things with the browser, and all these packages and libraries are there for free. And it has packages. So if we take a look at the Meteor packages, there's an atmosphere.js.com that has all these Meteor packages, and there are thousands of them, and they're open source. So we can see that most used account passwords, which gives you a login support or password support for logins automatically. So you just include this package and you can do accounts and registration and stuff. Less, which is a style sheet language that allows you to write very dynamic style sheets. HTTP. The Iron Router allows you to have routes on your application, so it's somewhat like a REST application. So you can say go to /home, and then that's a different page than /login or something. So the router does is there's a lot of email packages. Moment.js is a very nice parse and validate dates and strings. And so there's a whole bunch. They have Bootstrap 3, dozens and, well, 7,383 different packages that you can have your Meteor app load and use. Very nice functionality and flexibility for your Meteor applications. So what are some of the Meteor principles? The sort of philosophy behind Meteor applications is, one of the big ones is data on the wire. They don't want to send HTML over the wire. What they're doing is they're just sending updates to the data over the wire. So they initially send the HTML over and the templates, but then the communication between the clients and the server is primarily changes in the data. So you're not sending new HTML, you're sending small chunks of new data that then get rendered automatically on the clients or updated on the server. Any change on a client is sent to the server and then is sent to all the clients. So depending on how you work your application, everybody can see the data, or you can have private data. But they're sending data over the wire, not HTML. You're sending data and letting the client render the data, the changes in the data. One language, everything in Meteor is JavaScript. You write JavaScript on the clients, you write JavaScript on the server. It's one language, it's very nice. It's a very standard language. It's very popular. It makes life easier for you and the developer because you're only working in one language instead of having your server being in Java and then your client is in HTML and JavaScript. You just have to worry about JavaScript. It's very nice. Database everywhere. Like I said earlier, there's database on the client and a database on the server. All the clients have a database, so and they're synchronized using the reactive features. So everybody has database. All the application has database, and they reflect a common understanding of the data. So that's very nice to have your own local repository that is reflected of the central repository, if that's the way your application is working. But it's databases everywhere, so you have access to data in the clients and the server, and they're reactive, so changes get propagated. Full stack reactivity, like I was just saying, changes get propagated throughout the entire stack on the server side and the client side, so you're getting almost immediate updates if things change. This is very nice. The change in the data will change potentially change the template, which will change the rendering. So we've got not just the data can change, but the templates can change based upon the data. So you can have questions like, if something is selected, then have this template, or if it's not selected, have a different template. So we can change the way the page looks by changing the data, but it also can change the HTML on the client side. So full stack reactivity, so it's both sides. They embrace the ecosystem. They are embracing open source packages, as you saw with the atmosphere.js.com. These are open source packages. They're freely available. They're being developed. They're making changes. So Meteor is embracing the open source ecosystem. It's easy to extend. It's easy to modify, and it's very helpful. And finally, simplicity equals productivity. It's very easy to develop a simple application using Meteor because they've got all the stuff back behind hidden from you, so their interface and the code that you have to write is very simple. Sometimes this is very powerful. Sometimes it's confusing because if you don't quite understand what's going on, you may not know why something happened when something happens, and that can lead to some issues when you're developing with Meteors, that there's a lot of magic hidden back behind the curtain, and so it can be confusing or exciting to develop in Meteor. So that's the basic background of Meteor. It's a development platform. It's got some very powerful tools, lots of packages, lots of stuff. It's got scripting, it's got templates, and you can very quickly develop a web application using Meteor that is very dynamic and very exciting. Thank you very much for your attention.